that Diana, Princess of Wales, has in fact been killed in that car accident.
Interesting. Sounds rather sort of bizarre, but I did go to Diana's coffin the day after I'd written it.
Princess Diana was buried on September 6, 1997. Her funeral was watched by over 2 billion people, marking one of the largest expressions of grief in modern history. She was laid to rest on a small island in the middle of a lake at Althorpe, her family's estate. For 27 years, her grave remained undisturbed, a peaceful resting place for the people's princess, surrounded by water and accessible only to close family. But that has now changed. What I'm about to share is information the Spencer family wanted to keep private. This was meant to stay hidden forever. But some things do not remain buried. Princess Diana's tomb was opened. The reasons behind this decision involved structural concerns and legal issues that needed attention. But what was discovered inside shocked everyone present. Not because of anything sinister or a dark conspiracy, but because of what Diana left behind. Items buried with her that no one knew about. These were messages, intended to be found only if her grave was ever opened. This final communication challenges everything we thought we knew about her final days. I must be careful, as the Spencer family has requested privacy. They did not authorize the release of this information. However, those present when the tomb was opened have spoken. The details have leaked, and the story emerging is too significant to ignore. It suggests that Princess Diana may have sensed her time was limited. While she may not have known exactly when, she appears to have prepared in ways we are only now beginning to understand. Let's walk through what happened, why the tomb was opened, what was discovered, and why these final messages are sending shockwaves through the royal family and beyond. This is a story that was never meant to be told. For nearly 3 decades, Diana's grave remained sealed. She rests on a small island at Althorpe, accessible only by boat. Family members would occasionally visit to pay their respects, but her grave was never disturbed. So why open it now, after 27 years? The official reason points to structural concerns. The tomb sits on an island within a decorative lake, and over time, water can threaten burial sites. There were fears of leaks, concerns about the stability of the chamber, and questions about long-term preservation. Diana's brother, Earl Spencer, reportedly commissioned an engineering survey years earlier. The findings were serious enough to justify further action. While not an emergency, her burial site is unusual compared to traditional royal graves, which are typically located in churches or historic cemeteries. Her island resting place, though symbolic, raised long-term durability concerns. The timing may also have legal significance. In Britain, regulations surrounding private burial sites can require reviews or action after certain periods. Though complex, these laws may have influenced the decision. Additionally, sources suggest that William and Harry wanted reassurance about their mother's resting place, that it remained secure, untouched, and preserved with dignity. For all these reasons, the decision was made to proceed. A small, tightly controlled team was assembled to carry out the operation under strict confidentiality. On a quiet day, away from public attention, Diana's tomb was opened for the first time since 1997. What they discovered inside went far beyond expectations. The process was handled with extreme care. This was not rushed. It was a precise operation involving experts in preservation, engineering, and funeral services. The team arrived at Althorpe before dawn. The estate was closed, and access was restricted. Only a handful of individuals knew what was happening, all bound by strict confidentiality. Earl Spencer was present. William was also reportedly there, though some accounts suggest he arrived later. Harry's presence remains unclear, but sources claim he was informed and may have joined remotely from California. Opening the tomb took several hours. Every step was documented carefully, with engineers recording details and photographers capturing the process for historical purposes. When the burial chamber was finally revealed, the room fell silent. It was not a moment of shock, but one filled with deep emotion. For the first time since her funeral, they were face to face with Diana's final resting place. The chamber itself was in good condition. Fears of water damage proved less serious than expected. Her casket remained intact, and the environment inside had been properly sealed. But during the assessment, something unexpected was discovered. There were items inside the burial chamber that were never listed in the original funeral records. Objects that appeared to have been placed there quietly, either during the burial or sometime afterward. And those items would change everything. They were items Diana had personally chosen to be buried with, things no one else knew about. This discovery changed everything. What began as a simple engineering survey suddenly became something far more significant. The family had to decide how to move forward. Earl Spencer asked everyone except immediate family members to step away. What followed happened in private, but the emotional reactions of those who later emerged made it clear that something deeply important had been uncovered. When Diana was laid to rest in 1997, the items placed with her were carefully documented. These included photographs of her sons, a rosary given to her by Mother Teresa, who had died the same week, a prayer book, and personal mementos from her life. However, when the tomb was opened, additional items were discovered that were not listed in the official records. Diana had secretly arranged for these to be included, and only a few trusted individuals had known about them for 27 years. Among the most significant discoveries were letters. These were sealed envelopes prepared by Diana before her death, addressed to specific individuals and intended to be opened only when her grave was eventually accessed. There was a letter for William, one for Harry, one for her brother Charles, and possibly others whose identities have not been revealed. The existence of these letters suggests that Diana sensed her time might be limited. She prepared messages for her loved ones and ensured they would be preserved in a place she knew would one day be opened, even decades later. But the letters were not the only discovery. There were also documents Diana wanted preserved but could not safely keep during her lifetime. While full details have not been disclosed, sources claim they relate to her experiences within the royal family. These documents reportedly include records of events she witnessed and notes she kept for reasons only she fully understood. There were also personal items, objects that held deep meaning for Diana and possibly for those she wrote to. These items were tied to private moments and relationships the public never saw. In addition, there was something else. An item sources remain reluctant to describe in detail. Even those who believed they understood Diana were reportedly shocked by it. What lay inside the burial chamber was more than a collection of final possessions. It was a carefully prepared time capsule, a message from Diana to the future. Something she appears to have spent her final months putting together, as if she knew it might be her last chance to be heard. The letters Diana left behind are especially significant. These were not casual notes, but deeply personal messages meant to serve as her final words to those she loved most. Her letter to William focused on his future as king. She wrote about the weight of responsibility he would carry and the kind of monarch she hoped he would become. She also reflected on mistakes she wanted him to avoid. Diana spoke about her own marriage and how it shaped her life, not with bitterness, but with a quiet, painful acceptance. She wanted William to understand her past while still finding his own path. She wrote about love and the importance of genuine connection. She urged him not to repeat the patterns that had trapped her. Sources suggest she offered specific advice about choosing a partner, recognizing authenticity, and building a marriage that could survive the pressures of royal life. Her letter to Harry was more emotional. She understood that he would struggle more deeply with her loss. Aware of his sensitive nature and need for reassurance, she spoke directly to his heart. According to sources, she encouraged him to remain true to himself and not let tradition suppress who he was. She urged him to find his own path. Whether this guidance influenced his later decisions is unclear, but the parallels are striking. Diana also emphasized the importance of remembering who he was before becoming royal. She wanted him to stay connected to ordinary people and use his position to create real impact, not just appearances. The letter to Earl Spencer focused on family matters and the Spencer legacy. She made requests about how she wished to be remembered and how her memory should be protected. The remaining letters have not been made public. Their recipients remain unknown, raising questions about Diana's private relationships. Only she and those individuals truly know what they contain. Beyond the letters, the documents found in the tomb could carry even greater significance. These were not simply emotional farewells, but records Diana deliberately chose to preserve. The family has kept their contents private, but sources claim they relate directly to her experiences within the royal family and concerns she carried. Some documents reportedly focus on her marriage, including not just emotions, but practical details, financial arrangements, agreements made, and promises that may have been broken. Diana carefully recorded what she was told and what she observed. Other materials are said to address broader issues within the palace. Diana documented decisions she disagreed with and behavior she found troubling. Though part of the royal family, she often felt like an outsider and saw things from a different perspective than those raised within it. There are also claims of documents describing specific incidents that may have been misrepresented or quietly hidden at the time. If true, Diana's notes could offer alternative perspectives that challenge the official version of events. Moreover, some of the materials focus on Diana's concerns about her safety. She kept notes about things that troubled her and recorded conversations that felt threatening. Her well-known letter predicting her death in a car accident has already raised questions, but there may be additional notes that offer deeper insight into why she felt that way. Now, the family faces a difficult decision about what to do with these documents. They could be sealed again, returned to the tomb, or placed in private family archives. Another option is to share selected materials with historians, while keeping the rest hidden from the public. William and Harry are said to have different views on this matter. William supports keeping everything private, while Harry leans toward greater openness. This difference reflects their contrasting perspectives on the monarchy and their mother's legacy. Earl Spencer, as head of the Spencer family and the guardian of Althorp, where Diana is buried, plays a key role in these decisions. He has not publicly commented on the documents, but sources suggest he is cautious about anything that could further expose his sister's memory to public scrutiny. The royal family's reaction to these discoveries was immediate and intense. When the palace learned what had been found in Diana's tomb, the response was swift and serious. This was not just a historical discovery. It carried the potential to impact living members of the royal family. King Charles was informed within hours. His reaction was complex. On one hand, these materials belong to his late ex-wife, the mother of his children, which carries deep emotional weight despite their troubled history. On the other hand, Charles is aware of what Diana may have written. He knows what happened during their marriage and what she witnessed. If these documents confirm her earlier claims, they could further complicate his already sensitive legacy. Camilla's reaction, according to sources, was more direct concern. Diana's feelings toward her were well known. If the documents include specific accusations, detailed accounts, or evidence supporting past claims, Camilla could face renewed public criticism. Sources also suggest that the palace has quietly approached Earl Spencer to ask about the contents of the documents. They want to understand what they are dealing with and prepare responses if necessary. There may even be an attempt to gain some level of access or influence. So far, however, Spencer has refused these requests. The materials belong to the Spencer family and were discovered at a Spencer family burial site. Legally, the royal family has no claim over them. Whatever Diana recorded belongs to her blood relatives, not the institution she married into. This situation has created clear tension. The palace is not comfortable being unable to control the narrative. For years, Diana's legacy has been carefully managed, with decisions made about what to release and how to present it. This new discovery challenges that control. William now finds himself in a familiar but difficult position. He is both Diana's son and the future king. His loyalty is divided between protecting his mother's truth and preserving the stability of the institution he will one day lead. In the months ahead, discussions between the Spencer family and the palace are likely to continue. The question of what happens to Diana's documents may not be resolved quickly and could take years to settle. More than 2 decades after her passing, Diana's voice is once again emerging. She had a rare ability to connect with people, something clearly seen in her famous Panorama interview. These new discoveries suggest she was also thinking deeply about how her story would be remembered. She wanted her voice to be heard, which is understandable given the pressure and challenges she faced. Now a serious debate has begun. Should these materials be made public, or should they remain private as personal messages meant only for her family? Some believe she intended her words to be shared as a final message, while others feel her sons should read them without public attention. Both perspectives carry weight. Diana's story still matters. It continues to shape her sons and remains an important part of royal history. Opening her tomb is not an act of disrespect, but a continuation of her story. Now the question remains, what should be done with what she left behind? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for updates on this ongoing story.